So website wireframes, it's a visual guide that people usually use to create a outline of a website or web page. It's kind of different from adding the colors and the pictures and such. It's kind of like a placeholder that tells the creator or designer exactly what is needed before committing to do the rest of the work. So usually when I taught how to design websites with students, I had them write this down or create it first. So in their mind, they kind of knew exactly which items would require them to complete the actual project ahead of time. So if you're writing a story, it's a storyboard. If you're creating a comic, it's a storyboard. If you're designing a website, it's a wireframe. So after the wireframe is approved by the teacher or by the group, you would then go in and actually add the images to go along with it. So I'm going to copy this into the actual chat so you can kind of see the concept. So I'm going to go into the example of the wireframe. So I decide that I want to have a logo in the header area, but I want this logo also to be down here in the corner where I have the footer. Okay. And not only do I want it here in the footer, I may want to have, let's see, the menu item that I have here, instead of being only in the top part, I'm going to go ahead and take this information and moosh it over a little bit, just a little bit. And then the menu items are now here as a drop-down menu on the side, like so. And it's the same menu items that I have up here at the very top, except maybe this menu also goes to the campus website. So I have to put a link for the campus website there. Or maybe the campus website link goes up here at the very top, like so. Okay. Because I'm actually using a wireframe, I have the ease of making choices and changes quickly. Can you imagine that if I went through and actually did the design with the images and the color and the blocks and everything, and then I had to make that quick change, it would take me longer, because then I would have to go back in and probably resize the image, or additional work would have to be done. So if you are taking the opportunity to show students how to create items, it doesn't necessarily have to be a website in this case. It's anything that requires them to block out or format a placing for objects or content. Maybe it's a magazine that you want them to do. Maybe it's a newsletter that you want them to do. It may be beneficial to have them lay it out first, just like they did in the olden days, before they actually commit to go ahead and create the actual item itself. So I am going to the next item, flowcharts. Very organizational, choices of yes and no. It's a nice way for your kids to go ahead and see cause and effect also. I have a copy that's in here for you guys to look at, which has the symbols and definitions of what an actual flowchart is. It's not necessary for you to use these objects as they traditionally are used for. What you can instead, as a teacher or as the students as a group, decide to pick and choose what you guys want to use. But what should happen is that everything should have a start and everything should have an end. So if you want students to be able to go through and map out their process, it's handy if they have a large assignment that has a lot of moving pieces. then you can consider having them use a flow chart to go ahead and decide what needs to happen, when, and how. So the next item is annotated images. If you happen to be someone who would like students to not only see images from the past, but to have them identify key figures in that image, a great way to do that is to have them annotate something using the options inside of Google Drawings. I'm going to paste this one in here. So this is the coronation of Napoleon. It was done in 1807 by Jacques-Louis David. And what we're doing here is we're taking a look at the audience members. And because we have studied the history of the period, and we know what was going on, and we've also studied the artist himself, we are able to go into the painting in great detail and now point out the key players in the painting. For example, this right here is the Pope, right there. And this is Napoleon and his wife, okay? To make the actual annotations, choose shape and choose callouts. These are the ones down on here at the very bottom. So I chose this callout right here to point and click to a person. You can then right-click, edit text, or you can choose to take the text box, type in it, blah, and drag it on top. But what might even be better is to use the same callouts and have the students consider the thoughts. What is this person thinking as he stands there in those very uncomfortable, bejeweled shoes? What is he thinking about what's taking place? Okay. Another way of doing this is by labeling objects. It's the same concept. So I'm going to copy in to the actual chat. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So thought bubbles, great extension, higher level questions. Yes. Thumbs up. So I'm going to make a copy of what I'm showing here, which is a labeling option. We often do this in science. We find a picture. We want the students to be able to label the parts of the picture. The nice thing about this is if you don't tell the students, the answer is underneath. And talk a little bit about doing the same concept with maps. Okay. So if we want them to know a little bit about a map, an area, timeline related to certain national disasters, whichever you want to choose to do as a topic based upon your TEKS, you can use the same concept to insert a map into a drawing and then allow the students or even yourself to go ahead and put the actual option for the callouts on top to make it easier for them to label the items.